from the Washington, D.C. area. It's the Inside Scoop, all the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Welcome to Inside Scoop, Virginia. I'm Bettina Lawton, and I am your host. And this is my first show after Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to be talking about veterans. And we're going to talk about a specific part of being a veteran in the United States these days. The Journal of Internal Medicine in 2007 said that between 25 and 30% of our veterans are coming home with some sort of mental illness that impairs their ability to reintegrate into civilian society. And we know and we read about veterans who are getting into trouble with the law and getting involved in the criminal justice system because they have some type of condition that they seem to have acquired while they were deployed, whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder, or it's TBI, or it's some kind of a drug or alcohol problem. And many folks say, you know, we need to do something for them more than what we might otherwise do, because after all, we got them into this situation, and so we need to take care of them once they are home. And so there is an effort in Fairfax County to create something called a Veterans Treatment Docket. Most places it's called a Veterans Treatment Court, but here we call it a docket, and we'll find out why. And I have two of the people who are very involved in getting this done for Fairfax County, and I'm so pleased that you came to join me tonight. We have Judge Penney Azcarate. She is the Chief Judge of the Fairfax County General District Court. She is a graduate of Old Dominion University with a degree in the administration of justice, so it's convenient that you're actually a judge. I think that worked out well, didn't it? Right?
Sometimes things work out.
Now, she did have to go to law school, and so she did go to law school at George Mason University, and she has been on the General District Court since 2008. And with her is Cindy Sanzotta, who is the Veteran Treatment Docket Coordinator. Now, that's her, it's not, I guess it's sort of volunteer because she's got her day job at the courthouse as well. She's the manager for the traffic division, and so she does all of that, and now she does this too. So I want to welcome both of you to the show to talk about this very important topic with me.
Thanks for having us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, let me find out first, because I have two lovely ladies here. We're talking veterans. Are you veterans?
Yes, we're both veterans. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years active duty, went to Operation Desert Storm back in the early 90s, with communications officer. Then I got out of active duty, went to law school, and stayed in the reserves for about 7 or 8 more years, and was discharged as a major in about 2000.
Okay.
So.
How about you, Cindy?
I went to ROTC and I was commissioned an Army officer. I was 4 years active duty and then 2 years in the Army National Guard. When I then decided it was Desert Storm and my husband was serving overseas and I was 8 months pregnant, I decided one of us should stay home. So that was myself. I took an honorable discharge, and I was still am a military spouse. He'd retired after 21 years of service.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this docket. How many of these kinds of courts, and I've seen them referred to as courts and dockets and tracks, how many of those are there out there now?
The most current number is 255 across the nation, so it's growing exponentially.
Okay, and so what is a docket? Why are we calling this a docket in Virginia versus a court? Is there some technical difference?
The difference really is that it is truly a docket here in Virginia. In Virginia, the problem-solving courts really under statute are drug courts. So really the Veteran Treatment Docket is really our own docket because we've seen the need here in Fairfax County, so we want to work that into our scheduling and into our court system here in Fairfax, and that's why we call it a docket.
Now, are there other veteran treatment dockets in Virginia?
There are tracks that I'm aware of.
I'm only aware of, there was one, but it is no longer, and there is one at the federal level in Virginia. But other than that, not at the municipal, state, city, and county level.
I think anything in Northern Virginia,
no.
Correct.
Okay, so this will be the first up here.
That's what we are hoping to get it on schedule January 1st.
All right, now, when did you get started on this? Why are we doing this?
Well, what happened was I've been on the bench now for 6 years, and during that time I have seen veterans come before me in court, not on the right side of the bench, having issues, and some attorneys bringing up some issues that the veterans have been getting through. And I also noticed other people that may be veterans, but I wasn't getting the information, were also having issues dealing with combat-related concerns, whether they were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with issues with substance abuse and getting in trouble with the law, or there was also issues with mental illness, PTSD, the traumatic brain injuries. They were coming into court, and I knew that the standard programs we had were not addressing the needs of these veterans. And they have benefits through the Veterans Affairs, and so I was looking at some sort of way to cast a wider net to get the veterans, maybe that I don't know are veterans, get some assistance. And I went online and started looking, and I found the program Justice for Vets that is starting to work out, and many of these courts throughout the country are doing, and I thought maybe I could establish a docket. I went to the first convention by myself, which happened to be last December in Washington. And then I realized that I thought it was a good program for Fairfax and something we could develop. Cindy actually approached me at that time and said she was interested in being involved, which is, she works a full-time job for me already in the traffic division, and she undertook the big challenge that we are addressing now to start developing. We started with a team. Our first meeting was with an interest team meeting. We probably had about 20 people maybe show up December 9th last year.
So this is really brand new. You're working this out now.
This is brand new, and we started rolling, and it started getting bigger. We had a steering committee meeting. More people were interested in becoming involved. I started inviting the world to see who would help us and who would show up. We put our team together. We have a great team of 10 individuals that are going to be our treatment team and our team for our docket. And it just keeps going on. We just came back from the second convention that Justice for Vets has had for veteran treatment dockets, and that was just last week, and we took a team of 12.
Yes.
We took 12 people.
Wow, so you went from you going by yourself in December to 12 people?
Right,
yes.
Exactly.
Now, are all of these people doing this, like Cindy's doing this, they've got regular jobs and now they're added this onto it?
Absolutely. We are working on the kindness of people that we know, and the volunteer force that we are working through at the moment. Hopefully in the future, as we get rolling with our program, we'll be able to get funding, maybe federal funding. There are federal grants, maybe state funding, maybe funding through the county, and that would help secure positions for people that could use all their time and commitment to this project.
Well, I did see there was a press release in the last week or so from Congressman Conley's office that he had put through some amendment to increase the funding for these kinds of courts. So apparently you've caught his interest.
I hope so. I believe somebody was at our...
Yes, his representative attended our last community presentation, and from there she brought it back to him, and he found a place to put an amendment for up to $1 million, I believe.
Excellent. That would be nice.
It's great. It is great. Getting the word out really helps.
So this steering committee that you have, what types of people are on this? Are they all associated with the court system, or who's involved?
Well, we have a team.
Yes.
Which is 10 people?
Yes. Judge Azcarate is our spearhead and the chief of this team. Then there's myself as a coordinator. Then we have a public defender representative. We have a representative from the Commonwealth's office, so that we have both sides of every offense. We have representatives from probation, who will start to build the community supervision program. We have community treatment, so we have those person that's already in the community treatment program.
Is that like the Community Services Board?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Then we have the VJO, which is a new program that the Veterans Affairs has developed over the last few years, and it's a Veterans Justice Outreach Officer. Ours is Karen Carrington, and she works in this jurisdiction, and she is mandated by the template for these courts to attend our court, to be a part of our team, and she represents the VA and the benefits and a direct link for our defendants to the VA. so that she can sit in a court docket and she can tell us he has been attending his treatment. She can give us feedback back from the veterans doctors that he's been seeing. She can even do such coordination as getting him in for appointments or
well, that's kind of key. What we've been reading about lately is it seems to be tougher than we had thought it was for people to get in to see the doctors and to get treatment.
And what we hope will occur is during this docket, she will actually have her laptop that she'll be able to assist with getting appointments, and also job information, housing information, all the different resources that a veteran would need. Did you mention the mentor coordinator?
No, I hadn't gotten there yet, yes. So we still have more on our team. We have a mentor coordinator who I believe you're going to speak to in a little while.
Right. It's coming up.
And I'm trying to think who else.
You have law enforcement.
Law enforcement, right. We have both the Sheriff's Department and the Fairfax County Police Department on our team.
So it's really quite a broad spectrum of folks that you pulled in.
In addition, Victim Services and the Domestic Violence Council also has representatives that come to our team meetings to make sure that we have their voice heard as well. So we have the victim side into the project as well as we're developing our program.
Well, how needed is this in Fairfax? I mean, what is the size of the problem? We have a lot of veterans in Virginia.
We have the most veteran population in the Commonwealth, 85,000, I believe.
In Northern Virginia.
So is this a huge problem? Are there tons of people in the jail? I mean, how big is this issue?
Well, we have some. The problem is we don't know the numbers. Okay. Not many people self-identify. They come to court. That's not the first thing they think of. So now we're starting to gather the data, and that's the first thing we're doing. How big is the need? We're not sure. We know it's out there because I've seen it, but we don't know how big or to quantify it yet. So starting just on May 1st, we started gathering numbers. Luckily, our magistrates are on board, and they are now collecting data when people come up just to the magistrate window. Law enforcement's also involved, collecting that data. Sheriff Kincaid has been very supportive, and she is making sure in the jails now there's a system. Actually, we're working tied in with VA, so there's software now. So if somebody is processed through the jail, we find out automatically if they're a veteran, and we don't have to rely on self-reporting. So what the need is to quantify it, it's kind of early to quantify. We just know it's there, and we know it's worth starting this program.
We know that in the United States we have the 6th largest population of veterans.
In Virginia?
In our state.
Wow. Well, then it would certainly seem if there's a need elsewhere, there must be a need here. It sort of goes along with the territory. We're going to take a break. I want you to come back so you can learn more about our Veterans Treatment Docket.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Where's your uncle?
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry?
Yeah. No. Sam's? No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done.
D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right, Ed.
What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time.
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs. Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice-yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back. I'm Bettina Lawton, and this is Inside Scoop Virginia, and we are talking about the plans going on in Fairfax County for a Veterans Treatment Docket. And I am pleased to have with me Judge Penney Azcarate and Cindy Sanzotta, who are here. They are leading this effort. And when we left, we were talking about what was the need. And so I want to start back with that and say, of the people in other parts of the country, because we don't have it up and running yet, are these veterans all folks who have just come back from Afghanistan and Iraq? What are the kinds of demographics of who's showing up in these courts?
It is very diverse. When we were at the convention speaking with all the different individuals that were at the convention from all the different states, it really is different jurisdiction by jurisdiction. Some are just dealing with domestic assault cases. Some are dealing with veterans that are just coming back from combat and are combat veterans. Others are dealing with a wide scope of veterans to include Vietnam vets and a lot of different issues. I even heard of a civil docket where they're just dealing with child custody issues with veterans.
Oh, really?
So there is quite a few different, it really is whatever we want to make it or we see the need to make it.
Well, now who's going to qualify for this? Because there are veterans, and when I opened the show, I talked about, folks coming back from the war zone. So is this limited to war zone people? Do you have to have a certain kind of discharge? Because there's tons of different, there's the honorable and the dishonorable, and then apparently there's a bunch of other ones.
Yes,
so
that's true.
If you're a veteran out there listening to this, what do you have to do to qualify for this?
Well, it really depends. We haven't really set up our guidelines as of yet. We're getting a training in August. Justice for Vets is actually coming to Fairfax for 3 days, and they're going to be training our team, and we are going to get down to the nuts and bolts and the nitty-gritty to what we want our docket to be. Again, we can do what we want. What we envision is starting small and then widening it as time goes on. So we may start with a combat veteran, and not just from Iraq and Afghanistan, but also from Vietnam as well. If you're in a combat area, and it's interesting because sometimes we get the questions when we go to different veteran groups, like, well, I was a quartermaster. I wasn't a combat soldier. I was like, we're not talking combat soldier. We're talking about in a combat area. If you actually were sent to a combat area, then you're a combat veteran. And we have to work out those definitions, but that's what we're looking at to begin with. And obviously it's not just a combat veteran. You have to be a veteran in need of treatment, whether it's substance abuse or mental illness, PTSD, TBI. There has to be some screening, military sexual trauma. There has to be some screening that there is treatment, because this is a veteran treatment docket. This is not a veteran docket.
So do they have to come with a diagnosis? They come before you, they've done something, they've beaten up somebody, they've done whatever they've done. They already have a diagnosis, or how does that work if they have to?
They can already have a diagnosis, or the screening process will establish a diagnosis as well.
Okay, so who's going to do the screening? Are these, like you mentioned, people at the CSB were involved
well,
in this?
What we're going to, exactly, if they have to have a mental illness screening, then or mental health screening, then obviously it's going to be a trained professional either through the VA or through CSB. Most of the initial screening of veterans that want to be in the docket, we're lucky that we have a partnership with George Mason School of Law. They have a veterans clinic there run by Lori Neff, and she has quite a few law students that are willing to assist, and she's our evaluator on our team and is helping us get our numbers. And we can use these law students to help with the initial screenings, just to find out if we do need to do a mental health screening as well for anybody interested in going through the veteran treatment docket.
Now, how are they going to be trained? Because I'll tell you, I'm a lawyer and I wouldn't feel competent to do that kind of screening.
Right, well, it's actually going to be quite a lengthy worksheet, so it's really just going to be filling in the numbers type of questions. That most people I envision coming through this docket will already have an attorney as well, and an attorney might be able to fill out the screening ahead of time as well.
Well, let's talk about how it's actually going to work. So I'm a veteran, I've done something bad. is every crime covered, so I can go out and kill somebody, show up in your courthouse and say, hey, I need treatment, man. You can't put me away. I need treatment, and get away with it?
No.
Okay.
No. Again,
so just thought I'd ask.
No. Violent crimes are not particularly covered. If murder, aggravated assault, assault and battery, that is something we have to look at a case-by-case basis. It's an evidence-based approach, so the team would have to decide. Once the Commonwealth, who has been very supportive of
when you say
program,
Commonwealth, I just want to make sure people know. Those are the prosecutors.
The prosecutors. I can call them prosecutors. That's fine. I was one for a while, so I can do it. But the prosecutor's office has been on board with this docket and have been with us since day one. Obviously, what we'll probably start with, like I said, since we're starting small, is misdemeanor offenses, destruction of property, substance abuse issues. Those type of issues will come through first. We're working with our JDR judges as far as domestic violence cases as well. And then the prosecutor, and if there is a victim associated with a crime, maybe the destruction of property, whatever the victim, they'll have a say in it as well, as if that person can come into the docket. What I envision is the prosecutor and defense attorney agreeing on, instead of in lieu of jail post-conviction, they're going to go into this treatment docket.
So do they have to be convicted first?
It depends. Again, we can design this as we want. We envision eventually 3 different tracks, right. Which there are statutorily some crimes that can be diverted just by statute. Trespassing, domestic violence, domestic assault cases can continue to be dismissed already. And instead, in lieu of other treatment, they could go to the Veteran Treatment Docket and get those cases dismissed. If there's an agreement with the Commonwealth and the public defender to, well, if they go through this program, then the case is dismissed, they do that with other individuals. That's not veteran specific. But if they make a condition of a dismissal that they have to go through the treatment docket, then they still have to be screened by our committee, our team, but they could go through the docket. We also envision possibly a reentry docket, somebody who's actually been incarcerated for 4 or 5 years coming back into Fairfax County that actually have to go through our treatment docket as a condition of probation. And that would be something up in circuit court. And we also had a circuit court judge join us in our training last week, so maybe we can develop that as we go down the road.
Okay.
Would you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly.
So we come in, my defense attorney and the prosecutor have agreed that I'm a good candidate for this, and somebody screens me. Then what's going to happen? I gotta go to classes. I gotta.
Then the
work begins.
The tough things begin, because this is not an easy docket. This is a docket. What happens is you're assigned a mentor. You're going to come before me or another judge probably every week. We're going to get a status on what's going on. The whole team is going to be there. The veteran administrator is going to be there. The BJO is going to be there in court, and we're going to discuss where you're going, what phase you're in. We're going to figure out our phases. Some courts had 3 phases. Some courts had 5 phases. You're talking between 6 and 18 months that these individuals will be in this treatment docket. And it's not going to be easy. They're going to get drug tested if they have substance abuse issues on maybe a daily basis in the beginning until they graduate to a new phase. They're going to come to court with their mentor. The mentor is going to be a veteran just like them, and that's a very key component of this veteran treatment docket is the mentors, and they're all volunteers as well. And they're just there as peer support to help them through. I've been where you are. We can work through this. You have to start working on the coping mechanisms. The thing with mental health, we have to have the mental health personnel there each time, because I don't know about mental health, and I can't instruct them on what they have to do unless I hear from that part of my team. Sometimes if you try to help people, you end up hurting them with mental health issues. You have to be very careful.
Well, how is that going to work? Because of course we've heard all these horror stories about the inadequacies in the Virginia mental health system with what happened to Senator Creed Deeds and his son back in November, and a lot of problems that have come up. I mean, this sounds awfully intensive.
It's very intense.
Are these people going to be volunteering their time? Is this going to be added on to their regular jobs, or How does that work?
Right now, in the beginning, everybody that we have on our team and knows how much hard work they've already put into it and that they'll continue to do is all volunteer. We are stretching everybody that is willing to be stretched. Luckily, everybody is just volunteering. I've always told people if they don't have the time and they can't do it, I understand. But we do this on our own time. We envision that this is going to probably be an evening court that we're going to do on our own time. To help out veterans who are working as well.
And will this all be run out of the courthouse itself?
Yes, yeah, probably so.
So there will be like a roving situation?
No, I don't see any vans in our future. Along that line. I think we're okay.
Okay, so they come in, they do the program. How are you going to know if it's working? Is there some standard evaluation that somebody does of these types of programs that says, here's the recidivism, here's not? I mean, how does that?
That's why the numbers are very important. We'll just have to keep tracking the numbers to see when somebody graduates from the program after the phases and then they graduate from the complete program, what occurs then. We're hoping that a lot of the mentors or the people that graduate will turn around and be mentors. And that's another positive thing about the Veteran Treatment Docket is the people that volunteer to be mentors, we're trying to reach out to a lot of younger Marines and soldiers and airmen and airwomen to come into the program to be mentors, because even though they're helping the defendants in the treatment docket, they can also be helping themselves just by being a part of it. And maybe they're having some issues, but they haven't committed any crimes, but they might be having some issues, so just being part of the mentor program may be healing within itself. And also the VA is going to be in the courtroom, so if they have an issue, they can talk to the VA as well.
Well, I read some reports and some criticisms of these kinds of dockets that said the terrific results, the decrease in recidivism, all of those kinds of things, I think it involved the court up in Buffalo, was because the people they let into the program were cherry-picked. So you only took the easy ones so that your statistics would look good. How do you do to make sure that the people you're letting in are actually representative of the people who need the help?
They say, we just came back from the conference, and really the high need, high risk veteran is the one that is the most successful in the program. So they're sometimes with the most violent and the most difficult. Whether we can take them as we start in our court, we're not sure, but the data is certainly there to show that the program is successful, especially for those who have committed serious crimes, usually in some relation to PTSD overtaking them at some moment of rage.
Okay, so you think that's going to be a lot of it is PTSD related?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to foresee what exactly is going to come through. My plan is to take it on a case-by-case basis. If there's something brought to us by the Commonwealth Attorney, the prosecutor, and the public defender, and we look into it, and that's somebody that we can take into the program, we're going to take it. It's hard to quantify what a success is. If you help one person from not taking their lives, possibly, or getting the help they need, then that might be enough.
Okay.
It depends.
Well, we are going to go to break, and when we come back, you'll see a slightly different group of folks here. We're going to be bringing in some other veterans who are also working on the program. We're going to say goodbye to Cindy.
Bye.
And stay with us.
Osama bin Laden calls getting nuclear weapons a religious duty.
Today, materials that can be used to make nuclear weapons are stored in more than 40 countries.
Sometimes protected by just a chain-link fence.
Yet not enough is being done to lock down these materials
before terrorists steal them. Why did we learn all this?
My mother.
My son.
My sister-in-law.
Were all murdered September 11th.
Help protect America.
Together we can. Please join us.
The stem cell issue is being debated throughout the country. Truth is, most everyone has an opinion, even if they don't know the facts.
Let's stop arguing and start really understanding the potential of stem cell research.
For us and for millions of Americans living with disabilities, get the facts.
Call 1-877-842-3442 for free information from the Stem Cell Research Foundation. That's 1-877-842-3442.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
and justice
for all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America.
Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Planning a home renovation? Put this at the top of your to-do list. Because after 10 years, none of you are protected against tetanus and another potentially fatal disease, diphtheria. A minor injury, such as a cut or a scrape, can put you at risk for a tetanus infection. And while safety gear offers some protection, an up-to-date vaccination called the TD booster is the best insurance against tetanus. So get the TD booster. If it's been 10, do it again.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back. This is Inside Scoop Virginia, and I'm Bettina Lawton, your host. And we are talking tonight about the Veterans Treatment Docket that is being developed for Fairfax County. It will be the only one in Northern Virginia, and I expect, based on our conversation thus far, it's going to be a busy docket. So we have added some new guests. We have Don Northcutt, who is now right next to Judge Azcarate, and he is the Volunteer Mentor Coordinator for the Veterans Treatment Docket. And next to him is Roy Gresham, and Roy is here to talk about the VFW. He's with Post 8964?
8469.
8469. I had the numbers, I just don't have them in the right order. All right, well, let's talk a little bit. Now, you're both veterans.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, you were Air Force, Marines, what were you?
I went in the Air Force in 1967.
Okay.
I'd spent 6 years in the Air Force. Went to Vietnam in 1968, was a C-130 aircrew member. And after I left the Air Force, I went back to college, finished my degree, and went in the Army and was commissioned in the Army. Spent 6 years in the military police. And yes, and then after that, I decided to go to graduate school. And so I went to graduate school. I was a parish minister for a number of years. I'm retired from parish ministry, and I've been very involved in VFW Post 8469, and I was there when the judge made the presentation to our post last year, and I thought that was a good idea.
So did you go back into yet another service after you got your ministry degree?
No, no. I was too old, they didn't want me.
Oh, I find that so hard to believe. What about you, Roy?
I also joined the United States Air Force. I enlisted in the Air Force for a few years. I worked as a radiation physics research assistant. And afterward, I worked on my master's while I was on active duty. Got commissioned after I picked up my master's. Spent the next 20 years as an officer working ICBMs, Air Force logistics, aircraft maintenance.
Wow.
I retired in 2000, went to work for one of the contractors, and later went into my own little business, little insurance business I do out of my basement.
Good. All right. And you're all with the Post 8469?
Yes, 8469.
Okay. So how did you get involved, Don, in this Veterans Treatment Docket?
Well, I've seen and read enough cases where veterans have come back and just have difficulty fitting in. Now, most veterans come back and integrate quite easily, but there's always a certain percentage who do have difficulty, and it can become a rolling stone. Once you have one problem, it multiplies into other problems. And so I think the ability to stop these things, to enter in and divert an offender into a proper channel, will serve everybody's interest. And my youngest son was a Marine. He went to Iraq 10 years ago, and he came back and got involved in an equine therapy program. Horses.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think he'd ever been on a horse in his life. And since that time, he's now a rancher in Northern California, and it's been a wonderful outlet for him, because he found something. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just, our docket here is just one of the many resources that's going to be available to veterans and the community.
Okay. Now, Roy, are you involved directly in the treatment docket, or what's your role going to be?
I'm mainly here providing support from the VFW. I'm hoping to be a mentor myself before this is over.
You will, Roy.
But my story is a little bit different than Don's. I retired, like I said, August 1st, 2000. And I sort of just wondered a little bit. You know, you work on active duty, you work 12, 20 hours a day. It means nothing to you. That's what you do because that's what you like to do. After I retired, about the first 10 years after I retired, I'm out there and found myself, and I'm a very mild-mannered guy. I find myself getting frustrated and things like that. And once I heard about this program, along with the vet centers that we have, I started attending and looking into it. My thing was to cover everything with work, you know, throw as much work on top of me as I possibly could, stay busy, which will keep me out of trouble. But I kept finding that I do run into these little anger spats out there, and that's just not me. So the average veteran that I've been working with will not come up and look for help in that situation because they don't see a problem, number one, and if they do see a problem, the problem is not theirs. But I knew different. I was lucky enough to have a great wife that kept telling me something's different about you. You really need to slow down. You really need to take a look at this. And when the first time I listened to the judge talk about this, I'm going, wow, we need to make this work. We need to make it work.
Well, there had been, I know, years ago, when we were really heavily into Iraq, a lot of concern about mental health for active duty soldiers, and the military kept saying they were going to send in and embed these psychologists. And what I read about that was that people, as you were saying, where they didn't ask for help. That wasn't an acceptable kind of way to be if you were a military person. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
It was a problem for me. There was a stigma. Part of my job was ICBM maintenance. We were on a strict program where if you displayed a little bit off to the left, you were decertified from your job, put on halls and walls, floors and doors, as we used to call it, and you just didn't want to be one of those folks. You wanted to do what you could for the country and go from there. The stigma of letting somebody know, yeah, I have a problem, I may need a little bit of help with, just didn't fit in. So.
Now, Judge, do you think that's going to be a problem with the treatment docket, or the fact that they're in trouble already tends to make that less of an issue?
Well, I think having a judge presiding and having it as an order, these are warriors, and there is a warrior mentality that you're considered weak if you have an issue, so maybe I'll mask it with substance abuse, or I'll be frustrated or have anger issues. But the thing that comes down to the core is that when they're in this treatment docket, it's structured like the military. In phase one, you're going to come in front of me and you're going to be at parade rest. You might be there with your mentor, but you're going to follow the orders that we have, and it's going to be very strict orders, and that's some structure might be exactly what these veterans are looking for and might assist. They're going to respond in a way differently than maybe someone who hasn't been in a combat zone or hasn't been a veteran would respond to those type of orders and that type. They might go kicking and screaming to begin with, but it's been shown in these dockets with this type of process and with the mentors helping that as the program grows and as they progress, they start coming around to the mentor, and they start talking to the mentor, and they start finding out coping mechanisms that they can deal with coming back and being an active member of society.
Now, you're a Marine. I was going to say former Marine, but I understand once a Marine,
once
always a Marine.
Always a Marine.
I got that part.
Yeah, that's right.
So if it's not you, if you're not the judge, are the judges going to all be military people? Is that going to be a requirement? Because it seems to me it is a very different system. We hear this all the time. 1% of the people in the country are in the military, and that it's very, very different. And if you haven't if you haven't been there, you don't know kind of thing. Is there going to be, or is that a traditional thing to have the judges having military experience?
I think it just goes that judges with military experience are more interested in becoming involved. However, that's not going to be a prerequisite. people that want to help with veterans. One of the judges that went to the training with us just this past week has not been in the military, but he has family that was in the military. He's interested in helping veterans, and that's all you need as a judge, is to have that interest to help. People on our team haven't been in the military, but they want to help veterans get back into society. And so the main person, the only person that has to be a veteran is the mentor.
Well, let's talk about the mentoring. I mean, what is that piece going to involve? I mean, you've just said the mentor will have to be there, and that first part, like every week. I mean, this sounds like a huge commitment of time. Don, what do you think you're doing?
Well, I think, as we've discussed, the whole thing is being built now, and we're trying to envision this. I envision a mentor as being both an advocate and a sponsor for the veteran, a buddy also. Someone who's going to talk to you honestly, straightly, and not sugarcoat anything for you. The mentor is not a lawyer, not a counselor, is not a social worker, but someone who's trying to help you stay within the program and be a resource for that veteran. When things get tough or have questions, go to the mentor. And so, as a result, I'm literally going to be scouring the 89,000 veterans who are in Northern Virginia here and trying to find mentors, plus other resources. There are people who know someone who has something. And if we can get that and use it through the mentor program, I'll be very happy.
So what are you going to be looking for? I mean, Judge, you've been at these conferences. Do they have here's the best kind of mentor, here's the person you need to look for? I mean, how does...
They do have a training component, and I think they're going to actually take it on the road where they can train mentors as well. They call it a mentor boot camp. It's not anything like boot camp.
But of course they call it mentor boot camp.
No,
what else are they doing?
But what we envision really is, because of the time constraints in the beginning, a defendant may have 4 mentors. Might be 4 different individuals that are helping out one defendant, because maybe they can only be there once a month. So they're going to come the once a month, but they're going to call. Are you going to work today? What are you doing today? Those type of intensive supervision concepts for a mentor. So really the only pre-qualification we have for a mentor is somebody who wants to help somebody that needs assistance. The motto of Justice for Vets is leave no veteran behind, and that resonates with all veterans from the time of the military service, that you don't want to leave your buddy behind. And so that's really the people we want, are people that are just enthusiastic about the program, who want to learn. And we're talking about peer mentors. We're not looking for professionals, although we're more than happy to have anybody from any organization or occupation come in and help us. We need a lot of women veterans as well. I think we're going to see a need for that, to have some women veterans involved. So we go around, and Cindy and I have gone to vet centers and talked with different veteran centers about getting the word out to get more veterans involved.
Okay. Well, we are going to be taking a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about the mentoring program, how they're going to recruit them, where they're going to find them, and talk about some more about this treatment docket. So stay with us.
There's more than just books at the library.
There's more than just books at the library.
Excuse me. There's more than just books at the library.
Il y a plus que de livres à la bibliothèque.
Of great books here today. There's more than just books at the library.
I know.
There's more than just books at the library.
I don't want to be hooked to a machine.
I want all the medical treatment available to me.
I wouldn't want my family to have to make this decision.
My doctor knows what's best for me.
An advance directive is your life on your terms. Talk with your family. Decide what's right for you. Then put it in writing.
Documenting my wishes today means my family won't have to make heart-wrenching decisions later.
To learn more, visit www.putitinwriting.org.
1,200 American youth run away from their homes every day. The National Runaway Switchboard is here to help. 1-800-RUNAWAY. If you are a runaway, thinking about running away from home, or a parent or guardian concerned about issues facing your child, call us 24 hours a day. 1-800-RUNAWAY. In times of crisis, hope is just a phone call away. 1-800.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back. I'm Bettina Lawton, and this is Inside Scoop Virginia, and we are talking about the Veteran Treatment Docket with Judge Penney Azcarate, who is the Chief Judge of the Fairfax County General District Court. We are talking with Don Northcutt, who is the Volunteer Mentor Coordinator for that program, and we are talking with Roy Gresham, who is a member of the VFW post in Fairfax Station, 8469.
Yeah,
I got the numbers in the right order this time. All right, we're good. Roy, I wanted to go back to you because we've mentioned a couple times in the last segment about veteran centers. What is a veteran center? What is that about?
Oh, 15, 20 years ago, Max Cleland, Senator Max Cleland, when he was the VA secretary, saw a need because there were mental issues with the veterans to put together the veteran centers. The centers are like bringing veterans together for some group therapy, come in, talk to each other, you know, discuss different issues. We bring in guest speakers to, you know, talk about certain things that's going on out there. How do you do this? Where do you go for help for these type of things? It is a great resource for us. I attend one of the vet centers. One of the safest place for veterans you can attend. You know you got good friends there, and if I was looking for a mentor, I can pick up the phone and call anybody on that list at the vet center, and we sit down and talk. We have lunch, we joke, we have fun. We know what each other has been through, and it's really good. We encourage each other to do things, and that's what it's all about.
Now, are these physical locations that stays constant, or how does this work?
Yes, these are physical locations. I know there's a couple across the river in Maryland. We got a couple in Fairfax County. I attend the one there in Alexandria, right off of South Kings Highway.
Okay, and how does somebody find one of these if they want to sort of, they haven't gotten into trouble yet, is there?
Just pick up the phone and call the VA.
Okay, and they'll tell you. All right, well, let's talk a bit about this mentoring and how are you going to recruit for this? Is this going to be you all running around to VFW posts, American Legion posts? How do you do this?
That is one outlet, and we have spoken at vet centers. Cindy and I have gone out, and now Don's joined in, and we go out to VFW posts, American Legion posts. We go to there's vet centers usually associated with colleges as well. George Mason has one at the undergraduate level, also obviously with their law school. So we want to get the word out, and through programs like this, we hope to get some people involved, and everybody what we've spoken to have turned around, and a majority of them will come and say that they're interested in being involved with the program.
Now, is there going to be some screening involved of the mentors? So what's that going to be?
That would be on your side.
Right, well, we're going to have a screening. There is going to be, we have to fill out, it's going to be the same type of application as just to get in as a defendant into the docket. There's going to be a similar application to be a mentor. So we make sure we have people there that know that it's peer-to-peer. That we're not there, they're not there to give legal advice. They're not there to give any kind of mental illness diagnosis. They are there to be a buddy, to help them through this process. And if the defendant wants to talk with them, that's fine. But they'll have to go, once they do the initial application, then they're going to have to go through the training before they can be qualified to be a mentor in our program.
Because it's not as if the initial set of mentors in any event have been through this program. So helping someone through it when you yourself have never done it is sort of, can be difficult.
That's why the training is very important, and there is, through Justice for Vets, they have training that we can get our mentors involved with, so they can be certified through Justice for Vets, so we can have the certified mentors being part of our program.
Okay. Now, if somebody out there is watching and they said, boy, you know, I would love to be a mentor, how do they get a hold of Don, or how do they get a hold of you? Is there a website they can go to say, hey, contact me? How do they do this?
Well, right now, it would probably be contact the court, I would imagine. Call Cindy. Contact
Cindy Sanzotta, or if you want to, through the VFW Post 8469, Don, actually his email is on there.
And we're on Facebook. So you go to VFW Post 8469, our Facebook page will come up, and say, Don Northcutt, call me, I'll call you.
Okay, that sounds easy enough. And how many mentors are you looking for?
We want to have a large database,
a large pool,
just to be able to draw from, because typically you want to keep a Marine with a Marine, again, a female veteran with a female, so you want to be able to have a large database to pull from. So as many as we can,
okay.
I think. It would be
because you can't have Army do Marines. I do know that. It's just, it does not work, from what I understand. So.
We Marines are a little particular. Yes.
Yeah, that's a word. Well, let's go back to you again. How does the VFW or the other major veterans groups view these courts?
Well, the VFW has been in business for 115 years now, and the main mission is veterans relief. We have long supported any kind of veterans that widow children that needed help. This is one of these cases where we see help needed. If, say for instance, you had a person that got in a minor scrape, that person can do some time. Is that doing that person any good? Are we opening that revolving door for them to come back? We want to get them some help. We want to get them on the right track. This is one thing that will help support the VFW's mission of relief, getting them up and running again, getting them back in society. We wholeheartedly support it. We will support it with funding from our post. We raise money through what we call our Buddy Poppy campaign, where 100% of that money goes to veterans relief, and we will continue to do that, and we're probably going to up that in some way, shape, or form. But all of our leadership at 8469 support this particular effort 100%.
Okay. Now, is the VFW itself involved in establishing these courts? I know in Fairfax you said you've got somebody, obviously from the VFW, I think on your task force, or someone involved in it, or somebody like Roy. Are they active participants in these things, or are they holding back and waiting?
Very active.
We are active and we are supporting.
Yeah, our post is a very active post. Right. Proactive post.
And it's also a very young post as well. There's a lot of young veterans involved with this particular VFW post, which is outstanding. And they have always been very supportive. And when our docket is up, the mentor volunteers from this particular VFW I know is going to be huge. And that's great, because there is an epidemic in the United States right now. We have 22 veterans a day committing suicide. That's obviously something that has to be addressed, and if it's a small way that we can address or help somebody down the road by having this treatment docket, then that's something we all agree we want to support.
Okay. So, and now that you've got your own individual post, but then you've got districts. Are you getting support at the district level for this type of thing?
That is one of my next steps.
Okay.
I've spoken with leadership at the district and state level, saying I'm going to come and see you. And so that is my next step, is to move up into not only the VFW, but the other veterans organizations. Okay. And so I'm going to be on the road, I think, quite a bit in the coming months.
And is the American Legion, that's the other huge veteran group that I always think about, are they present in this?
They will be.
I would say they are already present, because most of us that are VFW members are also American Legion members.
Okay, it goes kind of across. And also, in addition to the team meetings we have, every 3 months we have a steering committee that we meet with, and those are not only the American Legion VFW are present, attorneys from the area, any other group that wants to come can come to those meetings. It's open meetings, and we will probably post at the VFW when our next open meeting is for steering committee. So anybody from the community who wants to be involved are welcome to come to our steering committee meetings.
Okay. Well, I will encourage you to also, by the way, reach out to Rotaries.
Oh, yes.
I'm in a Rotary,
yes.
and we're always looking for folks to come and speak, and many of the Rotaries do a lot of fundraising and give money away to good causes. So they would, don't forget to pop over and visit with them, and they'll give you a free meal if you're speaking.
I look forward to that. Yes.
You could go for quite a while,
right.
you know, breakfast, lunch, and
That's
dinner,
right.
you're good.
That's right.
You're going to be good. So now, Judge, you said you want this up by January 1?
January 1 is what we're on track for. We get our training from the national group in August, and then we'll be able to get everything together, and hopefully by January 1 we'll be up and running.
So other than this training, and is this just for everybody? Is this?
It's for the team. The training is for our core team that we already have in place.
Okay, and then what else has to happen? So when you look forward, you say, I've got my training in August, we've got another 3 or 4 months before you expect to be operational. What do we have to do?
The mentor training is a key aspect to it that we want to have in place. We have to figure out time, location, and any other avenue that we can. You know, this is something that we all are doing, not as our day job.
Right.
So we need to make sure we get it right to begin with. We want to start off on the right foot.
Okay. Well, let's, I want to give you both, or all three of you, not both, all three of you an opportunity. We've got a minute or two left here. What's the closing? What do you want people to take away from our conversation, if there's the one thing you can highlight?
I would just say that it is a treatment docket. We are trying to take people that went to war for our country and are coming back and having issues based on their combat experience, and we want to try to make them get the proper treatment that they already can have, that they have benefits through the VA, get them connected so they can be a good member of society and hopefully help themselves.
And I would add to that, I hope that those veterans who are having difficulties realize that there is another avenue. There is another step that can be taken. There is another option. They're not at an end. They're not at the wall. Okay. There is something that can happen that can assist them and make their lives whole.
And they don't have to wait to get into trouble, because as Roy is doing, they could go to one of these veteran centers.
That's right.
Or become a mentor.
Become a mentor.
Yes, because, and that's sort of the basic on a lot of these 12-step things, is that you're helping yourself by helping somebody else.
That's right.
Correct.
And that sounds like great. Roy, you
My
want?
closing words is, I just see this as the right thing to do. I spent a lot of time in the hospitals as the post surgeon, going in, seeing people, doing things for them in the hospital. If we can get them on track before we get to that point, we will be doing a great service for the country. So.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming and talking about this great project, and we will be checking back in with you come January to make sure it's up and running and see how we all can help further the
We'll get you a front row seat.
Excellent. I love it. Thank you all for watching tonight about the Veterans Treatment Court.